My channel Dr. Munshi Nasser Skill Tone. In this video tutorial I am going to discuss about the application of qualitative research and literature review using NVivo software. NVivo is a very important software for qualitative study, and in comparison to Max QDA, this is one of the leading software in qualitative study or research field. So without further delay, let's get started to understand how NVivo software works for literature review, research writer article, or any assignment or report writing purpose. So without further delay, let's get started with NVivo application in literature review analysis. Now my dear learners, at the very beginning you need to ask me, or maybe you can ask anybody, that doctor, how we can download the NVivo software, because it is a paid software. So basically this is the site that I used to use for any type of downloaded software, but you can always purchase, but I'm using a trial version at the moment just for the sake of this demonstration. And you can go and download the software from Get Into PC. Get Into PC, you go to that software and I mean the website, and then you go and search for the NVivo. And when you go and search the NVivo QSR NVivo 11 free download will be appear, and you just have to click this one and you can download this software in your PC for Mac or Windows version. Now my dear learners, once you download the NVivo software, it will automatically install as you follow the instruction from the downloaded file, and this will be given to you. Once you download the file, it will be instructed accordingly. Just follow the steps. It will be easier for you to download install in your computer, as it is a Mac or Windows version, so there should not be a big problem. So once you download and install at your computer, you will see when you open the NVivo software, it will be looks like this, and you first click the blank project. You need to give a name. Since we are trying to work on a sample project, let's assume that this is the name of the project, which is like trade paper review for UAE. I'm just giving an example because let's assume that we are trying to find out a literature review on the United Arab Emirates components of GDP growth, and in this particular case we are talking about the oil and non-oil components of GDP. We'd like to find those things in this particular paper. So for this paper we are working on the particularly literature review part using the NVivo Plus, and then in the next video I will show you how to develop a research paper using the part of this literature review and the analysis of the work, and how we can analyze, complete the whole research paper and submit to a good journal, which I will do it in the next tutorial. But for this tutorial we are going to discuss only for the literature review part, which are the part of the research article. You can always use this type of project for your assignment or any report writing as well. You can give a description if you want. So let's assume that we are talking about trade related issues. We can say trade components, okay, components of GDP, let's say GDP of UAE, for example. So we would like to see what are the trade components of GDP of UAE, and we can save our work to this directory. If you wish, you can change the directory if you want. Okay, now once you have it, just press OK, and it will be open up as a new project. Now my dear learners, once you open the trade paper review, the project, you will see here there are several versions like create, data, analyze, query, explore, layout and view. We will go one by one every single thing as quickly as possible, and there are some key important informations also given in this particular snapshot. So you can always look at these snapshots if you wish, and you will get more information about looking at this information, because these are built into the NVivo software. So the most important things you need to understand in NVivo software, because unlike Max QDA, NVivo has a little bit different things. For instance, it has an internal and external file components. Usually when we upload any data, for example, we were using the Zotero or Mendeley data reference management software to extract the data from the website for the article download information, and once you upload this into the NVivo platform, it will be installed into internal versions. So usually the internal versions will receive all the attributes of those papers, for instance the key abstracts, RIS components, and also the main PDF files. And external components, maybe you can create some extra attributes or any other things that you need to add to the internal informations. You can put that into the external side. Memos like Max QDA, which I already demonstrated in previous videos in my channel, you will see in memos it means that when we talk about the internal information, Memo will understand to give you explanation of what you are talking about the internal information that you are installed. For instance, in memos you can say that we are talking about trade components. What do you mean by trade components? Is it a trade openness, economic growth, the relationship or causal relationship between trade openness and economic growth? All these things you can define each of these components in the memos, and I already demonstrated that in the Max QDA, which of course in this video we will demonstrate. And then we have framework matrices. Framework matrix is also very important, because when you are going to do a thematic analysis, and if you want to make a row and column of your downloaded or uploaded PDF files, let's say you have 10 PDF files and you would like to design these 10 PDF articles, the files that you have uploaded in the NVivo software, in a way that you want to cross analysis the articles depending on the theme of those articles. Let's say in one theme we are talking about the time series components of certain articles. It discussed about the time series components of the paper, and some articles they discuss about the descriptive way of presenting the information of UAE economy. So you can distinguish all these papers into row and column, and then you can analyze, which can be also be part of the thematic analysis. So this is done by the framework matrices, which we'll of course demonstrate in a while. You can see here sources, you can say nodes. In this particular case, in Max QDA it was directly said code, but in this case in the NVivo it calls node. So node and codes are very much same thing. Node in here is just like the code, and code means that how we can coded our text information retrieving from the PDF files or articles, and restore or store in a particular node. When all the nodes are created and all the informations are going to different nodes, then you can always classify and analyze the nodes to come up your desired output. Classification is a part of the node analysis. Queries, we have word queries, we have text queries, and also we have word tree queries, and all that we will see that query as well. And finally we have reports and then maps. So all these sources, and these sources I think I make myself clear. Now we will see one by one how this works. And now we first use the Zotero platform, and then we retrieve the Zotero data, and then we start our project at NVivo. Now my dear learners, as I said that Zotero is a very good platform for extracting your research information. For instance, if you go to that platform in any of these paper, let's say UAE trade time series, if you let's say write down time series analysis, for example, I'm just showing you for the demonstration purpose. So Zotero, what we will do, for example, in this particular case, if the information comes like the PDF file, for example, if I click this one, let's assume that this is a article from Taylor and Francis, one of the journal of Applied Economics. And if you go to the Zotero from here, you will see here Zotero will take the information. And you see Zotero, the trade paper 2021, this is our project that we are going to do and demonstrate using NVivo. And Zotero is retrieving all the information from the journal, including the full text of PDF, snapshot, and all the other, like for example abstract and all those informations. Some of the cases the PDF file, if it is available, then it will take the PDF full text of PDF, but if it is not available for free, then the Zotero will only take the abstract and the citation information, not more than that. So once the Zotero will include all the information into that particular folder, then you will see, once you open the Zotero, you will see here Zotero already merchandise exports and economic growth, the multivariate time series analysis of the United Arab Emirates. This paper which I demonstrated just now, this one, you see this paper is already extracted from the Zotero connector from the Google Chrome, and it is restored. The software that I have already downloaded, the Zotero software, the referencing managing software, it is already downloaded, and you have to open it. Once you work with the Zotero connector, you need to open this software. It should be open, and the Zotero connector will connect all this information, and it will put all those things, including the full text, into that folder of Zotero. Now once we have this type of papers, and I do not go further because I already demonstrated one of the example. You can do it by yourself by going to the Scopus index, Scopus database or Google Scholar. You can always look my previous videos how we can search in SSRN or Scopus or Google Scholar to search and narrow down your search results. I already demonstrated in my previous videos about literature review, so you can watch those videos in my channel. But in this video I just want to make it short to see how you can download and extract information using the Zotero. And once the Zotero information are collected, it will be restored in this particular folder. Now I would like to make this folder. Let's say this is the folder that we are talking about, and you right click this one software, and you will see, once you right click on that particular trade paper 2021 folder, it will appear the export of this collection. So we would like to export it as a RIS format. This is very important, because once you want to analyze this paper as a part of your literature review, so this should be RIS format downloaded, and then you can upload the RIS format into NVivo software. So you need to download and press OK, and it will ask you where you would like to download this one. So let's say I would like to put it in the Dubai housing price. This is one of the project that I am currently doing. So let's say this is the folder where I am working, and I would like to save that one in this particular case. So now the export is done, and it is already going to that particular folder. So I can close this one, and then we can see the folder, let's say the Dubai housing folder, and you will see here that trade papers are already here. The trade paper 2021, this is the RIS format folder, and the files as well, like for example these are the files, supporting files are already installed in my folder. Now I'm going to use the NVivo software to upload these RIS format papers, and you will see how I can do it. Now my dear learners, you can see here that now I come back to the NVivo my project trade paper review for UAE. This is my project, and you see here I go to the data. You see I go to the data, and then I go to the from other sources. I go to the data, and then from other sources. Click that from other sources. You will see there are many other sources. For instance, Outlook information, you have EndNote. This is another referencing managing software, Mendeley, RefWork, and Zotero. So there are many software applications for referencing, and I strongly recommend you to use any of these referencing managing software for your research, assignment writing. It will help you and make your life easy. So once you have this type of information like from Zotero, click this one, and it will ask you where did you put your file. Let's say I have done a lot of work with using this software. So for example, in this project I am using trade paper. So let's say trade paper, this one. Click this one, and it will ask you this type of information. Just you can see the internal folders are selecting internal folders. By default it will go to the internal folders, all this information of the paper. So I press import, and once I press import, it will automatically put all those paper information, and you can see here that the NVivo is now uploading all the information that is required. And you can see here all these 5 papers that is already downloaded from the Google Scholar are now in my NVivo project. So what I can do now, I can double click on any of this paper, and it will appear in the right hand side box. like this way, and you can see, you can read all those paper. Like for example, this is the first paper, and you can see here that the causality between economic growth and investment in the United Arab Emirates. So that is the paper, is the first paper. There are 5 papers here, and one by one we can go and work on that. So now I will show you how we can create notes, memos, framework matrices, and of course in addition to that I will of course share with you how we can use the audio and video data and picture data as well for this demonstration purpose. So stay tuned. First of all, we'd like to know how the nodes are working. For example, the nodes that we're talking about, how these nodes works actually. Nodes, my dear learners, is something called the coding. I mean, once we code the text, all this information will be stored as a node in NVivo. So let's assume that we'd like to create some code or node first. And how do I create that? By looking at the name of the paper, you see the causality, economic growth, investment, government spending, merchandise exports, quantitative measurement of economic sectors, the balance between fiscal consolidation and non-oil growth. So by looking at these important keywords, we can now understand that using these keywords we can create our nodes. And after we create our nodes, we go to the respective paper, search the respective relevant text, and we copy that text and we can store it into our nodes, respective nodes. So now how can we do that? Very simple, my dear learners. First we need to do a very basic thing. For instance, if we double click, we already have opened our main data file. Now all we have to do, we need to create a node, right? So you can create, like for example, clicking the node and then you right click this one, you see click the new node. Okay, right click, then you first click the node, then right click in the node box, you will see the creating the node. And in this case you can write, for example, I just write economic growth, for example, for the demonstration purpose. You can write down the description, what do you mean by that. You can use the nickname if you wish. Now my dear learners, in this case what we can do here, for instance, you can see here that the first paper, the causality between economic growth and investment in United Arab Emirates. So economic growth is the important topic here. For the demonstration purpose, if we would like to make a literature review, so we can go to the literature review section. For instance, in this particular paper you see literature review sections, and you can see that Hitami J and Irandos 2002 found that the flow of causality runs into 2 directions. In Canada and Italy, in Germany, the flow of causality runs in one direction, from fixed investment to economic growth. So you can see here that the economic growth, how it works using the causality relationship between trade and economic growth. These two researchers 2002 they are talking about. And if you wish to think that this is an important piece of work that you'd like to incorporate in your one of the node, then just highlight it and then right click. You can see here that it says that code in NVivo, uncode, export, PDF. There are a lot of options that you have, but in this case I would like to make a code. Once I press the clock, you see the nodes will automatically appear, and here you can see the economic growth, trade openness, UAE GDP. All this information are given you the option. Choose the economic growth option. Okay, then let's say you can always again create new node if you wish to create under this new text. Like for example, the text is not relevant to your current node and you'd like to make a new node in order to retrieve the text from the PDF file or article, then you can do that easily by clicking this new node. So in this case I have created this node, and you can see the economic growth node is already there. For the demonstration purpose and for the sake of the video tutorial, because I do not want to make it more larger, if you have any questions we can always I will address your queries. You can just inbox me or you can post the comment below in this video. I will get back to you as soon as possible. So usually in the literature review sections or when you are writing report or assignment, this is the best way to do is by selecting the creating the notes and then go to the literature review of respective papers and find out what area that you are looking for under that node. And also those nodes are also considered as a theme or thematic analysis we call. So theme is something that we do in qualitative analysis. In the literature review or systematic literature review, we can always use this node or the title of the node as our theme. So for example, now we are talking about another literature review, and in this particular case, let's say we're talking about the UAE. So the study conducted UAE by Masqueri and Nazmi 2012 concluded that government expenditure had a positive impact on GDP. Now you see, you're talking about UAE and GDP, right? So this is very important for our study and our research. So we click this one and then right click it, we will find the code again, and then you see UAE GDP, right? Click this one and then press OK. So it is now coded under UAE GDP. Now my dear learners, we're talking about the framework matrix. As I told you earlier, that framework matrix is something that will allow you to select all the articles, create as a new cases. For example, in our case, our main internal phase, if we select our articles for instance, and here you can if you right click it, you can see here code, uncode, and all this information are there, right? So if you wish, you can make this as a case as well. Okay, now framework matrix is something that will allow you to make a row and column, and selecting the articles you can make a text comparison of your understanding of your idea. For example, here you can see row, you can select your cases. For example, in this case we did not select anything, but if you wish, you can select from case selections or from the folder or for all the nodes that you want to select, and you can select it here. And then if you wish, you can side by side comparison of the text that you have retrieved from those articles. So this is one of the options to look at the nodes that you have collected from the article, and row and column will allow you to side by side comparisons of the text that you have retrieved as a node to see how this similar or dissimilar. It is very important for looking to finding out the gap in the literature, how we can retrieve the information from this. Just simply go to the node and you can always click and clear, and then you can export all this information if you wish, or you can make PDF format to visualize your work like this way. Okay, so this is what we have for the node perspective. Okay, my dear learners, one of the other important particular concept of NVivo is the query. You see here query wizard, text, speech, word frequency, coding, matrix coding, all this query. The most important queries are word frequency query, and from here you can check like source, display per 1000 words, minimum length 3, and then if you run query, the results will come like this. I mean, how many words relevant to this particular query, search query, how many words are there, you can always look for those queries. And then you can go for the word query. This is very interesting part of the NVivo is the frequency of word appears in that particular selected PDF article, and from there you can see that what is the more visualized idea of that particular article. So now you can see here that GDP, economic growth, is the most important and highly frequent data, I mean keywords in that particular article. So this is one of the most important feature, or I think the favorite popular feature of the NVivo. And then we have text query, I mean the map is a map, and then we have the decision tree or tree analysis. You can always see this is a decision tree of that particular article, how this is connected, like for example prices, oil, and if you click this one, this will be highlighted, and then how it created and linked to the different words and different ideas of that particular article. So that also you can do, and if you wish, you can also add to your project, and if you add to your project, you can name this project here, and then you can say it is a word frequency query that you are doing for this particular case. And of course, if you right click it, you can export the diagram. If you wish, you can click the diagram, it will be exported as a JPG format. So now my dear learners, you can play around with this type of queries, and queries is a very important integrated part of the NVivo search, because it will allow you to find out the keywords, key search and text that you are looking for from that particular article. So you can see summary, word query, mapping and decision trees or cluster trees are very important for the NVivo, and this is what in Max QDA sometimes it is not that much comprehensive in comparison to NVivo. So I strongly recommend you to use this query platform in NVivo to get more insights of that particular article. So you see there are some other informations like creating node. You can see here, from here you can create node, I already demonstrated. And then we have data. You can click PDF, the PDF file will be uploaded from here directly. Okay, instead of going to Zotero, you can upload the PDF directly by using this one. You can survey from the Excel. I mean, sometimes you use Survey Monkey, like for example this one. From Survey Monkey, if you have an internet connection, the Survey Monkey information you can directly import it into NVivo platform, which is a very important feature which is missing in Max QDA. Analyzing, we already analyzed some of these informations like memo and code and all that. Query, I just use that query like text query, word frequency, coding, I already mentioned you. Explore like mind mapping, project map, concept map, chart is one of the important criteria. Cluster analysis, you see you can use the cluster analysis, okay, by using the the nodes that we have created. We can use those cluster. For example, here you see the nodes that we have created, and if you wish you can click, you can use select the nodes. For an instance, if I select these nodes and then press OK and then press finish, the cluster analysis now, because it is only few words that I have selected, that's why it did not give you it doesn't give you a lot of information, but something is like that. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. The cluster analysis is something like the word frequency queries that will connect you the information like GDP growth and UAE, what we're talking about, in more visualized format. So that is the explore layout view. Already we know that some of the information like navigation and all that, and of course the color of the scheme, this is very important. Now finally we can use the picture and video information. This is very important for the NVivo, like transcribing. Sometimes you transcribe the data from the video by listening it, or by listening the audio and then transcribe it in the NVivo, which is missing in Max QDA, which is also a important qualitative software. But NVivo is in this case very comprehensive, so you can use this video analysis for your interview analysis. Another way you can do it is video file. Sometimes it's a very weak file, sometimes you may not record the video. Sometimes what we do quite often, use the audio record for our interview, right? Or like focus group discussion or in-depth interview. So we click the audio, and I do not have any audio, but let's assume that I have a music. I just want to make a demonstration purpose, nothing more than that. And then if you click this one and then OK, and you see the media file is now uploaded into the NVivo, and now you see all the information of the media file, the audio file, and its attributes and general information are there. If you press OK, you see the happy background music, which is a music, of course. It is already uploaded in this particular case. Now it is in the internal folder. Now from here you can listen. You can right click this one, and you can see here there are many information here like open audio. If you want to open audio, the audio is now opening. Now in here you can see that you can have time span, content writing, okay. You can click editing. Now my dear learners, you can see here that once you want to listen something, you can play around. Now you see the player version is going on, and then if you want to stop it, you can press stop, and you see the transcript option is bottom here. So just immediate after the audio file, the bottom here, the transcription version. So in this particular case, what you have listened, you can write it down like this. For example, I have listened that the guy was talking about the trade and growth, for instance. Okay, the guy was talking about the trade and growth, so I can write down here in this particular time span. So this time span was talking about trade and growth. Then again I play, and then it will go back and forth. I can stop, and then again I can write from here to here a new time span. In this case it is already there, but in this case the new time span, for instance, in this case we can write down. Now in here in this time spans whatever we have written or whatever we can do. For example, if you want to paste anything information, you can do that. Likewise, all the information that we have written down in this particular time span, just right click the bottom, you see bottom left corner, we can write down again. And then let's say we want to take it from here, we can copy from here, you can paste in your Word file, you can edit it, okay. And then you can always go and retrieve it, okay, insert new row in here and write down many more information in this particular case. So now likewise you can transcribe and listen and then write down, and then after finishing all that you can always export your transcription. You say audio, you export audio and transcription, you see clicking this one, it will be entire content, media item or transcription document is the doc files, RTF text, PDF file, and you can press OK. It will be all the transcription that you have made, it will be automatically exported, and you can now then know what is in there in your interview as a audio format. So it is a very interesting feature of NVivo, and I strongly suggest that you should use this audio transcription, because it is usually we use for in-depth interview, and of course you can say there are a lot of other options. For instance, group discussions, focus group discussions. In qualitative study, these are the things that we need for our research purpose. So this is how you can play around with the transcription. So NVivo allow you to use the audio and video transcriptions along with the text retrieval using code and node framework. So all these together is a very good platform. NVivo it can allow you to do literature review, thematic analysis, writing assignment, writing research paper. This is a very good platform. So thank you so much, my dear learners. I hope this video, although it is a very big video, but I hope it is a added value to your analysis of qualitative study. And of course you can always share your ideas and knowledge and comments to our channel. I will get back to you. Hopefully in the next video I'm going to discuss about how we can write a good research paper with all the information using R Markdown and NVivo software and publish it in a Scopus journal. So until then, stay tuned, be with me, and of course subscribe to get more information about the new data science, machine learning, educational know-how related videos from Dr. Munshi Nasser Skill Tone channel. Bye bye.